Hello, and thank you for joining us for Kineo Office Hours. So glad that you are taking the time to review this recording. We're so excited that you are taking a look at this today. So today we don't have anybody joining us, so we don't have any questions to answer, but we do still have a feature presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and go over that feature presentation for those of you who do want to review this recording, or just anybody who might find it helpful. So let's go ahead and get started. A little bit about myself real quick. My name is Taylor Craig, and I am the Learning Platform Specialist here at Kineo. My primary job is training our clients on Totara. I also work with our sales team to work with potential clients and teach those people all about Totara before they come on board with Kineo. And then once they do, we start training them up and getting them ready to work with their Totara solution. They work with our solution architects, who are fantastic here at Kineo, and then we train them on any customizations that we may do. So that is how I work with our team here at Kineo and work with our clients. So excited that you were able to join us today. So let's take a little peek at what exactly Kineo office hours are. Our Kineo office hours are open and available to all of our current clients. So what that means is that anybody can view the recording of the feature presentation. So you can come and learn about what we're learning about here at Kineo. And but unless you're a client, you don't get to ask questions. So what we do is for 15 minutes we have a feature presentation over, maybe what we're talking about today, which is positions in organizations. In the past, we've talked about what have we talked about? Learning plans, programs. In the future, we're going to talk about audiences, all of that cool stuff, all of the neat things that Totara and Kineo have to offer. Sometimes we'll talk about burning support questions, things that our support team is telling me, hey, you know what, we're getting the same question over and over and over. Can you answer that in office hours? So we'll go through and we'll talk about that. Or we may talk about existing features that you may already be aware of. Or we may talk about some new things that are on the horizon. Here in just a couple weeks, we're going to be talking about reporting. Reporting is really cool, and there's some new features with that, with 2.7 for sure. And then what we do is we open the floor for 45 minutes. If people join me, I answer any questions that they may have. If people happen to not join me for the feature presentation, that's perfectly fine. I still stay in the room for those 45 minutes. So if maybe you're like, oh, rats, I missed the first 15 minutes or the first 20 minutes, join me a little bit later. That's totally fine. I will be in the room for 45 minutes to answer any questions that you have and gladly work through things with you. So if you happen to have a support case with us, where you didn't know the answer, or maybe you just needed somebody to work it through a little bit more and kind of think about that, feel free to join me for this, and I'll be glad to walk you through that. So let's talk a little bit about what our feature presentation is about today. Today what we're covering is hierarchies, and talking specifically in those hierarchies about positions. So there's a few things that you need to know about these. So we've got positions and organizations. That's part of our hierarchies. And to learn a little bit more about each of those, we'll talk specifically about positions and organizations, but kind of talking about why in the world would I use hierarchies on my site in the first place. So basically, you use hierarchies as a way to automate your assigned learning. So it gives you the ability to automate that learning. So basically what it is you assign a position and an organization to a user. That's done through their profile, and you are able to do all different types of stuff. So you can enroll those people into learning. So you can say, I want all of my managers to go through a particular set of learning. And you can do that just based on information that's in their profile through their positions. So it cuts down a lot of the administrative stuff that you have to do on your end, because if you add a new user and their position is manager, it's going to automatically dump them into that learning. So automation of learning. You also want to use positions and organizations and use your hierarchies effectively as far as reporting is concerned. It's very necessary in different situations. You may want your managers just to see the people below them, right? So if that's what you're wanting to do, you need to have positions set up and potentially organizations, because you may have multiple stores, right? So you may have 50 different stores, and each of those 50 stores has a manager. And so you want to be able to say, I want each of those managers to just see the people who are in their store. The glory of Totara and the cool thing about using hierarchies is you can make one report, that's all. You don't have to make 50 different reports for each of those stores. You can make one report and allow those individuals to just see their store and the people who work for them in that store. So that is another powerful use of our positions and organizations. You can easily place people into audiences using your Totara hierarchies. So we'll talk a lot more about audiences in our next session next week, but you can do a lot of different things with audiences. Also, performance management. So using hierarchies, positions, and organizations to do management appraisals. So appraisals are another built-in feature of Totara. You can allow your managers of those 50 stores do appraisals on the people who directly report to them. And you can do that through the organization of your site using positions and organizations. It also allows your administrators to manage those appraisals, manage those 360 reviews, manage all of that stuff in bulk. So versus having to go in and find the people who you know are managers, this allows you to do those types of things in bulk. So I encourage you to go and take a look at help.totaralms.com and go straight to that benefits of using hierarchies. That's going to give you a really good overview of that, and then also underneath that you'll find some really good documentation as well. So positions. Let's take a little bit deeper look at positions. What exactly are they? They are exactly what they sound like they are. It defines job roles that make up your organization. So in your organization, you may start all the way at the top level with your CEO, and then you have your next person who reports directly to the CEO. You may have your CFO, you may have your regional managers, your district managers, so on and so forth, all the way down. We have a particular site that we use for demonstrations and for our office hours where it is constructed based on a fast food chain. So we have in there all the way from the CEO all the way down to those folks that help you at the front counter. So, and we're able to do all kinds of cool stuff with that based on reporting, enrolling people into learning, all different types of stuff there. So where exactly do you set this up? You set this up underneath site administration, hierarchies, positions, and then manage positions. And this is basically what it looks like. So you have your positional organization chart, right? And you're aware of probably what that looks like. Totara takes that and puts it into its system, and I'll show you where that's at. And it looks basically like this. You've got your system, field operations, regional, district, general assistant, all the way down to your cooks in your stores. So this is how you would set up your positions, and we'll take a look inside of a Totara instance exactly how you do that as well. So let's talk a little bit more about organizations. So looking at organizations, let's explain exactly what that is. So organizations is also pretty close to exactly what you would think it would be. But it depends on your situation. Some people may use organizations to define regions. Another organization may use it to define their departments. It may use it to define groups or teams. So it's kind of like a larger grouping there, larger grouping than your positions, because your positions, they're going to be very defined as far as who people are and what their role is in your company. But your organizations, it can be a little more flexible as far as your regions, departments, teams. However your organization is set up, chances are we can do that with organizations and give you a really good structural overview and then a very good visual of how your company's set up. This is going to be set up under site administration, hierarchies, organizations, manage organizations. And here's a visual representation just like what we looked at for positions. This is how my site is set up. I have my site set up where I have my overarching company. Directly below that is my field operations organization, which is kind of everything, right? And then underneath that, we have Houston, Dallas, and Lamesa, Texas. These are the different regions, right? Underneath those regions, we have districts. So I have Houston District 1, Dallas District 1, Lamesa District 1. So we've got all of these different districts. And then underneath those districts, these are our individual stores, okay, and the locations of those stores and the store number. So this is how this is set up. And then to that, we have positions tied to these organizations. So I have a system or a staff manager at the Rice Boulevard store. And I am able to pull that information into a variety of different things, such as learning, reporting, all of that good stuff. So I could pull a report on all of my frontline associates or all of my cooks at Houston District 1. So that's going to pull both the Rice Boulevard store and the Cypress Wood store. So it's going to pull both of those stores' information back. Or if I just want to pinpoint it and really narrow it down to my frontline associates at the Rice Boulevard store, that is absolutely possible, and I can do that. And I can also say, you know what, based on that report, they're not moving, they're not doing so well. So what we want to do is we want to push them through some training. So we can say, okay, now we know what's happening with these particular people, and we want to push them down this track of learning. So we can then create an audience, or we can go straight to that track of learning and say, based on the rules, I want Houston District 1, Rice Boulevard store, frontline associates. We want them to take this particular training. So you can really do that. It really allows you to narrow and pinpoint. All right, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump into my sales demo site real quick here. Let's get this off and let's pull this over. So I'm going to log in as an administrator and we'll take a quick peek at where this is set up, and then we'll take a quick peek at some reports. So again, like I said, this is all going to be found inside of your site administration bar, hierarchies, positions. You would manage your positions here. You would manage your organizations here. Let's take a look at what that looks like inside of Totara. We saw kind of a visual representation of it, but let's see what it actually looks like inside of Totara. So I have my system all, just like we saw in that picture. And then underneath system all, it's also going to show me kind of in a very similar visual depiction inside of Totara, just the way that picture was. It's just this is editable, right? So I can come in and I can edit. I can change this to work with my organization, and I can actually visually see it put out in front of me here. So once this is all set up, this is going to be something that is assigned in a user's profile. So I'm going to show you how you might do that manually. So you go into Users, Accounts, Browse List of Users, and let's take a look at Aaron Hart. However, with Totara Sync, you are actually able to go ahead and populate all of this information about a user. So I actually built this entire site based off of spreadsheets. And so that's something that you can do, but let's take a look at how you might do that manually. So under Profile Settings for Aaron Hart, we're going to go under Positions, his primary position. That's the one we're concerned about today. And so I can choose his position. Aaron is a general manager at the 4020 Way Creek store. So this is where you're going to assign that position, where you're going to assign that organization. And then we'll also talk later in some of our other sessions about a staff manager. And this is also where you would assign that staff manager. So let's take a look at those reports. So looking at reports, I'm just going to go to the My Reports tab. I have lots and lots of different reports set up. So here we can actually go in and we can say sum of users complete, and not yet started. And here I'm able to see organizations. We also have positions in this particular report. It's completed for Creekleaf Road. So we know we've got that, but we're also getting a bunch of mixed results with everything else. So let's just pull back just that organization. So we can go the organization when complete. We can say it's equal to, let's change our organization to the Creekleaf store. And if you can't find it immediately, you can do this. We want to search everything. There it is, 0326 Creekleaf Road. Say OK. And search. Okay. And that made our search results much less. So we're able to see everything here for Creekleaf Road. So let's also narrow that down. Let's say Creekleaf Road, Frontline Associates. So that should narrow it down even more. So we're going to leave our criteria of organization is equal to Creekleaf. And then we'll say also we want the position to be Frontline Associates. So we're going to have to go all the way down. Or we could search, but I want you to see how we can pull all of this down in this manner as well. So Frontline Associates, say OK. Let's search again. And that narrowed our report significantly down to 4 people. Okay? So some really cool things that you can do with those organizations and those positions. It really allows you to have the ability to narrow and pull that information back about those individuals. And again, based on how you do reports, and we'll talk about reports in one of our later sessions, but depending on how you set up these reports, you can also make it available where, say, I am just the manager of these individuals, the frontline associates at this particular store. Using one report, I can pull back just the information on those, and as their manager, I would just see them. So as an administrator, I'm able to see everybody looking at this particular report. But as the manager of the Creekleaf Road store, I would only see those individuals. So a little glimpse on reporting, and also some information on our positions and organizations and how you can use those to really narrow those reports. And you can also use that to go ahead and directly enroll people into learning. So hope you guys have a fantastic day. Next week we will be having our session from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Central Standard Time, August 6th. We will discuss audiences. The week after that, August 13th, is an off week, but we will return on August 20th, and we will talk about what all can you do in a Totara course. So just Totara course how-tos, talking about some of the really cool tools that not a whole lot of people use in Totara. So we look forward to you joining us then. Bring me all of your good questions. Thanks.